Hello there.
Good evening, one and all. It is Sunday, it's the end of the week. It's time we jump into some more good old Warframe. Welcome everyone, hope you're doing well where you are around the world. And as we were starting up there, Male Jade, thank you very much for resubscribing up onto 3 months. Much appreciated indeed. And enjoy your lovely silver badge to go with it. Cheers. It's a very, very fresh cup of tea, so I'm going to be very careful taking a sip of that. Still a bit on the hot side. Hello there, Romney. Hello there, Mythic. I hope you're doing well today. Welcome on in, everyone. Also, we do have a hydrate from Dark Wolf Steel during the startup as well. Usually during startup ones, I often miss them, but I catch that one. Cheers. Cheers indeed. Oh, right then. Oh, and look at this.
Good evening. Enjoying every video of you, D.
Darth Watch Bear, thank you very much for resubscribing at 21 months there. I'm glad you're enjoying the videos, absolutely. And cheers again for the support. Cheers indeed. Actually, David saying, how is Dan doing? Been a bit since I've checked in. Well, the latest video for Dan went out last week, did it not? And Dan's not had any progress since that video, as I have been focused on other aspects of Warframe at this time. But yeah, Dan is certainly making strides in the quest to defeat the Burner. Absolutely. Oh, Caljade, I'm doing alright. Once again, stupidly subjected myself to a relative lack of sleep, as one does when something interesting says, hey, it's going to happen at 2:30 in the morning. Like, fine. So I am suffering the consequences of that, but that's my own doing. On the plus side, absolutely amazing pulled pork bun this lunchtime. That was gorgeous. Probably saying, gosh, Dan it, Ken, that's boring. Okay. Sure. Have yourself an amazing time somewhere else then, I guess. Fuck you too. Anyway, I want to have a look at Gara again. You see, we covered Gara last week. And that was to go over particularly using Shattered Lash, how it interacted with Gara's Mass Vitrify, and as a result how it interacted with Splinter Storm. And one thing occurs to me that I just wasn't satisfied with the answers I came to, is that in that meddling with Gara, I settled on a Nourish approach for energy maintaining. So Nourish, Energy Nexus, technically also Archon Stretch, bring it all together. It was doing Gara things the way Gara does best. But in all of that lot, it's replacing the third ability, which itself is an energy generation ability. So I made a teeny tiny little pair of changes here. Gone for Prime Flow to have the sheer capacity, so to have a large amount of energy max that Gara can benefit from. And then also the Augment here, Spectral Siphon, so that we can generate that amount of energy.
Hi Ken. Long time no see on the stream. My clan is living through the LGBTQ Awareness Month and it's going very positively so far. Never have anticipated so many racists can be so positive about gays and such amused.
What? Sorry, what? Thank you for the resub, but... What? Yeah, Shez, there's a lot to unpack there, and this is not where I want to unpack it. Cheers for the resub, but we are going to leave that one right there, thank you. Whatever the hell you've got going on. Alright then, so, Spectral Siphon, Prime Flow. The idea here is, whilst we are losing some of that efficiency and we're losing the energy regen, we should be able to make up for it by having a huge amount of energy capacity to benefit from the highs and ride out the lows in terms of energy gen. But the thing is that I tried this and I ran into a problem. I'm not sure if I'm just playing it wrong or if it is a legitimate problem for Gara. And the best way to kind of address that is for me to very literally just go out there and bloody well do it. If we switch this over to a good old crit support build, just give ourselves those extra stats on it, and Volclock providing that there. And Shattered Lash. This one is set up with Influence. I can go with Influence or not Influence, or a 2-4 combo approach, but I'm going to go with the Influence one for now. Maybe there's something wrong with that. Pappy says it's a real thing, by the way. That's a real thing. That being, what's that? No, last you said that how did that was talking about how you don't understand Khora. Never mind, don't understand. Alright. Well, let me head this over to Circulus here. Run it through a mission real quickly. Got Naramon equipped, we've got all these bits and pieces. We're going to go for the Spectral Siphon approach and see if the issue I encountered happens again. Let's see if that issue happens again. Oh, bollocks, I had my HUD turned off because of a simulacrum, not simulacrum, captura bug, so let's fix that.
True mastery of the Tenno arsenal will you succeed.
So if I just, like, set that up there and then use the opportunity to slashy, grab the energy, like so, allows me to cast that there without having to worry about running out of energy, goes the theory. But now I'm going to run into energy issues. I'm actually going to give myself some more starting energy, because a shard can help try and fix that. So I've got the big old spinnies set up there, and it's already gone. The spinnies is already gone. You see, I've got 36, 35, 34. It's counting down almost like seconds, and then it just shatters. It's gone. It reached 35, and then it just vanished. There's no nullifiers. It counted 36, 35, 34, 33, and then it just vanished. And the starting count is 28 mirrors. I guess because of strength bonus of where I was, it started at 40. But I'm fairly certain, even if it shatters, it doesn't shatter that quickly. So something is going on that is making Gara feel a lot worse than it should. And I don't really understand. It's weird. That's what I'm thinking. Like, that is perhaps the weirdest one I've had so far. Because if I have a look at the wiki page for Spectral Rage, let me see here. So, summon a carousel of some amount of mirrors, enemies engage, yada yada yada, mirror damage, reflection, carousel rotates, carousel expands or shrinks with the total amount of mirrors spawned on cast, because that's just range based. Something like that. But it's supposed to last up to 22 seconds or until all mirrors break from collapsing. All mirrors. So they shouldn't just run out, right? And the duration I have here is 37.4 seconds. Like, I've got plenty of time on it. Are they really just shattering all of the mirrors that quickly? And now I don't have the energy to recast it. And now I don't have the energy. Now I need to spend even more energy maintaining that. There we are. Got enough energy. Nope, not enough energy yet because of the efficiency. And like, if I have to build an efficiency elsewhere, is it really worth doing the energy gen this way? Okay, here we go. So, all the mirrors are up. It's spinning. It is counting down the seconds. It's got to 30 seconds, 29, and now it's gone. But it didn't look like the mirrors were shattering. And the thing is that if it's running out that quickly, if the enemies are indeed shattering the mirrors that fast, then there's no time for me to generate energy from it. So let's pop into Simulacrum, like Flo suggests real quick. Let's just pop in there. Let's grab... Let's start with one level 200 enemy and scale up from there. What is indeed going on with this? Because whatever is the cause, it's making it where I can't use it as a reliable energy generator. If I'm spending 116.25 energy with a 50% energy orb drop chance per enemy, ignoring the normal drops that should come from enemies, I'm going to need their... what's that? Yeah, if it's an average of 12.5 energy per enemy, I'm going to need to kill about 10 enemies per caster Spectre Rage just to pay off Spectre Rage. And then I'm also casting Shattered Lash, which itself has a 38.75 energy drain when using this level of inefficiency. So at that rate there, 38.75, I need to have something like... yeah, I need to kill 3 enemies just to break even on that for the energy cost, because that would give me... no, 6 enemies. Yeah. I think... No, yeah, 3 enemies, yeah, on average. Which means in the lifetime of this, I need to get many casts of this out. I need a bunch of enemies getting into it. It feels like the energy gen should be there, but only if the actual structure survives. That is a paused AI enemy at the moment, so it's going to do nothing. Let's actually turn on the AI. Alright. So she's shooting them. Yeah! They do just tear through them that quickly. Granted, that's an Exogox-set officer, but like, they're more tanky than damage output. So what are the hit points on these mirrors? Do we know? Each mirror will break upon receiving 800 damage scaled by strength. There it is. So I guess just with no defenses, no nothing to prevent that damage incoming, add Steel Path Tier, it does just shred the mirror. Does it break that quickly with no enemies? Good question. Let's do a control test. If I just pop it down, does it run out the timer? Just wait 40 seconds and see what happens, I suppose. I mean, so far so good. So far so good on that. Yeah, it looks like it does indeed just last properly. So it's not like the ability's bugged to run out. The enemies are just shattering it. When you consider that multiple enemies can be firing at once, if I'm spawning, even with the strength boost, 40 mirrors, if the enemies are taking out 5 mirrors a second, the ability lasts 8 seconds. Which is no time at all, really. That would make an energy drain of this ability. 116.25 divided by 8. That's a 14.5 energy drain if it pops every 8 seconds. That's a hell of a lot of energy to make up for, just on an ability that I'm trying to use to generate the energy. This is where my issue seems to be coming from, then. So yeah, he goes in. I think that effect we saw there, that's a broken mirror. Every time we see that shattering effect, he's breaking a mirror. And he can switch targets pretty quickly. Yeah, he's just taken them out. Now, how many mirrors did he actually break there? Hold on. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then it pops. 13? So, if I miscounted off by maybe 1, only half the mirrors? Does it shatter on half the mirrors? I thought it was all the mirrors. Searching half finds nothing. It's basically one-shotting. It is basically one-shotting. He's just casting his gun around, and anything a bullet hits, that's it. It's gone. Which also seems ridiculous, because it should be tanking nearly 2k damage per mirror. He's not doing 2k damage. He is not dealing 2k damage. Maybe it breaks when they destroy the default max of 12. Is stat scaling just not working on Spectral Rage? Because yeah, I could have miscounted by 1 in the other direction. An easy test of that, I suppose, would be to just rip off the range stat for a moment and see how long it lasts. Because now it's down to 17 mirrors. Should we save him to level 2? Let me do the mirror count first. I hear what you're saying, but let me do the mirror count first. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, and it's gone. It was gone in about 8 mirrors. And with the range reduction, I brought it down to 17. It's about half the mirrors again. Yeah, after half the mirrors, it pops. Okay, that's... Hold on, let me check the old wiki. Let me just have a quick gander at that. No, nothing on there about half either. Not that I see. That's odd. Ellie's saying the wiki does say half. Oh wait, it says it has 6 mirrors break default. Hold on. Collapse threshold. Oh, for goodness sake. Right. I see it. When 6 mirrors are broken, the carousel collapses in explosion, inflicting the damage. Spectral Rage lasts for X seconds, or until all mirrors break from collapse. It actually means or until half of mirrors break, causing collapse. Ah, oh, son of a bitch. I glance at one aspect and feel like it has the answer, not realizing they've reframed the other answer elsewhere. Good catch, good catch. God damn it. Okay, so the wiki does have that information, just badly worded, and then with an incorrect statement, technically, elsewhere. And this doesn't have the info. Is it not in... I guess, is it not in the tips? Uh, wow. Alright, yeah, no, it just doesn't have the info. Well, that's not very helpful. Okay. Good luck anyone who expected the number of mirrors to mean you actually get that many mirrors. Like... Is there actually a point to there being that many mirrors, then? I don't think there is a point to there being that many mirrors. That's stupid. I can always update the wiki. I'm always a little bit skittish when it comes to updating wikis. One, there's a good chance that I'll end up accidentally breaking something. Two, I also need to make sure I go through accounts properly so as not to dox my IP. Just saying. Can you give the mirrors more health? So here's the other thing. I need to test against low levels now because they should have a hell of a lot more hit points than they're popping in. So let's create a level 2 enemy. Rather than level 200. Put the spinny up. Bollocks. My companion killed them. Let's correct that. Maybe get off Steel Path. Steel Path just increases the hit points of the enemy. It does not increase their damage or level directly. Just increases their hit points. Yeah, let's just remove the companion for now. Alright, so Spinny is up around you. So he's not one-shotting the mirror. Don't throw a grenade. Okay, he damaged the mirror and the mirror killed him. Fair enough. Yeah, Steel Path has never increased the damage of enemies. It's increased their level by plus 100, which increases their damage, but the Steel Path modifier has never increased their damage. Never. Let's just wait for that to run out. A couple more seconds. I'll spawn something a bit tankier. Let's spawn it in at level 40. I mean, it threw a grenade at the mirror. Grenades do a bit more damage. Alright, so this guy's currently blinded. As soon as he stops being blind, he'll interact. Okay, so level 40 did manage to take out the mirror pretty quickly there. I'm also noticing that the mirror stays, it just becomes very slightly more translucent. Well, that's not the most useful graphic, is it? The mirror stays, just slightly more ghostly. Well, this level 40 just killed the entire Spectre Rage on his own without dying. Okay. Now, just as a point of comparison, how good is he at shooting me? Does that look like a guy dealing thousands of damage to you? It doesn't look like a guy dealing thousands of damage from my perspective. My shields only have a 50% damage reduction, and it took him that amount of time to get through 400 shields. But if we look at the ability, it says that the mirror should have 2400 hit points, which would be the equivalent of cutting through 1200 shields. So he'd need to break my shields like 4 times over to break one mirror. But if I pop this down again, one mirror down, another mirror down. No, that doesn't add up. Yeah, that does not add up. Those mirrors are popping really, really quickly. If indeed that is the amount of hit points they have. So am I misunderstanding this detail? No. No, it doesn't look like I'm misunderstanding it. Is it maybe total mirror health? Oh god, that would be terrible. What, they've managed to spread it across all of the mirrors? So that as you increase the range, each mirror gets weaker? I mean, that would suggest each mirror having, in this case, 142 hit points, which... not that far off, is it? Wouldn't a level 200 steel buff enemy one-shot the whole thing in one go? Well, they can only shoot at one mirror at a time, can't they? I wonder, can you shoot another Gara's mirrors if friendly fire is turned on? Only one way to find out. Is there someone willing to be a bit of a simulacrum guinea pig? I will need you to join with a single target weapon, so no bigger AoE thing, and no companion equipped, please. If you would like to be a guinea pig, send me a message in game, the Kengineer. I'll bring you on into the squad. I'll just need to pop out of here real quickly so that I can set it to invites. Because if a player can shoot the mirror, if friendly fire is turned on, then we can also see how much damage they have to deal to actually pop it. So that'll give us that information. Just your weird little thing. Alright, there's our Ellie. Come on in. Give them a moment to load into the relay. I have received a blessing. Might as well say thanks. I'm just looking on the minimap for the icon, or otherwise seeing Ellie in front of me. You're here? Oh, okay. Whatever is a map for. Alright, let's give this a test then. So, double check. Yep. Nothing of concern equipped. Alright. Let's not spawn you. Let's turn on friendly fire. Let's just verify that friendly fire is in effect. Yep. Very good. Alright then, so I'm going to pop down a mirror. With your weakest damage, shoot the mirrors. Now, do you see any damage numbers, Ellie? When you shoot the mirrors, do you see any damage numbers? Because you are indeed popping the mirrors. You do see damage numbers. Excellent. Okay. 204 per hit. Okay, could you get a single shot weapon, please? Preferably with damage around about like 50 or so. Single shot weapon, about 50 damage. No crit focus, just look at the pure and element damage for 50. Single shot, because then you can do it bit by bit rather than having a burst. It's fine for it to be automatic single shots, so long as you control individual shots. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. Try and Modulato should be about right. I trust Ellie to know their arsenal. How much did I say? 50? Yeah, about 50. Just gonna keep wandering around whilst I wait. I could headshot them right now. It'd be very easy. Very easy. But I won't. How to find something in that exact range? It's... Unmodded Velt for 90. Sure, let's do the unmodded Velt for 90 then. I didn't think it would be that hard to find something with just low damage where you can fire a single bullet at a time, controllably, but it's fine. Alright, so we want to see as close as possible the amount of damage it takes you to pop this thing. Please don't press random buttons. So, when I refer to this thing, I'm referring to the mirrors. There we are. So roughly how much damage are you dealing to the mirror before it explodes and hits you? Many of those shots appear to be missing the mirror. Many of those shots appear to be missing. I can't tell if you're actually missing or not. Well, let's see what Ellie has to say. Seems inconsistent, some don't hit at all despite being on target. That is mildly concerning. Let's try this again. Do the best that you can. I mean, you killed that one in 2 hits, so how much damage did you do? Seems you're popping them in about 2 hits. What we're looking at. 3 hits, 90 by 3 for 270. Okay, let's get a smaller weapon in then. Smaller caliber, we're wanting anywhere like 10, 20-ish damage, so you can fire enough shots that we can zero in on the actual amount of damage needed. Do take into consideration fire rate, so you can actually observe the number of hits you land. Like a Dex Furious, and a Dex Furious would probably be a bad idea because it's got such a fire rate, it'll be hard to track the number of actual hits. Because of the inconsistency Ellie's experiencing on landing the hits, we want to know how many actually hit. Not just how many are fired. Mars does no damage. A gun that does no damage will be very unhelpful to us right now. But we'll give Ellie a moment. I'm sure I'll have a sensible idea. Is it 75 Mars? That's still quite high, realistically. We're looking for single shots. So either automatic or single fire, just not burst. And with low enough damage per shot that we can get a good idea as to the actual hit points of these mirrors. Calculator 40, still a bit on the high side. Like, if you pop it after 6 shots, has it got 240 health or has it got 201 health? See what I mean? We want to try and bring in the precision. What health are you actually shooting into? So long as the fire rate is low enough that you can keep track of how many hits you're landing, because I can't here. You're the one shooting it. So I need you to have that information. Otherwise, we can swap roles. You be the Gara, I be the shooter, but then I'd need to dictate exactly how you build a Gara. Yeah. I've been saying current health range between 180 to 270. Yeah. The more precise I can get that number, the more likely I am to find out exactly what's going on here. The more up in the air it is, the less likely we are to know the answer. Whilst we are working on that, there was the underlying assumption this might be per mirror basis, but 2416 divided by 17 is 142, which is lower than the minimum bound measured of 180. So that wouldn't line up. Assuming that's the case. No, Palping, I did mention earlier why we can't mod high fire rate and count ammo. Some of the shots are not hitting. Ellie was experiencing inconsistency on landing those shots. We need to know how much damage is dealt, not how much damage left the weapon. Alright, Ellie seems set up, so let's do the test. Is active. Yeah, maybe don't aim at the ones that are going into the wall. Alright, you've had a couple mirrors. What are we seeing? I'm getting a consistent 1042 damage. 7 by 36. Okay. So 252 damage. Okay. Well, that's not remotely close to any value I'm expecting, I'll be quite honest. That is such a weird number. That is such a weird number. Why is it dying that easily? Okay. Let's verify something else. Pop out the arsenal so I can use it, please. You don't need to change any of your weaponry. We can stick with the same weaponry. Any changes are just increase the likelihood of we not knowing what's going on. So let's go now for narrow-minded to drop down the range, meaning dropping down the number of mirrors. We come down from 17 mirrors to only 9. Let's see if the amount of damage it takes to kill a mirror, having only changed duration range, changes. Go ahead. Alright, Ellie, what's the verdict? Still 7 hits to 36. Okay, so at least the hit points of the mirrors aren't changing with the range, based on this test, but it does show that the hit points of the mirrors are drastically lower than expected. Drastically. So now I'm going to make a change to the strength. So if I switch into overextended, it's not going to be much of a change in the strength, but it is still a change in the strength. Switching to overextended. Now let's see what we get. Is it still going to be 7 hits? Or have I brought it down even by 1? Oh, they are moving a lot quicker. I dealt lower damage. Yeah, that extra speed is definitely making that a bit more difficult, isn't it? What are we seeing, Ellie? How many hits was it taking? Still looks like 7. Curious. Okay, let me seriously drop my strength then. Just going to completely marmalize this build for now. Let's take off the Blind Rage and Umbral Intensify. Strange idea, boost my hit points. I will try that in a moment. Alright, Ellie, here we go again. How to track the same mirror, honestly? I imagine it is, yeah. Given that we've seen that range doesn't have an effect, I can take off the narrow-minded. That should make that easier for you. Overextended, even. So the strength has come down considerably from earlier. Give that a try. That's sounding like 7. Still 7. Okay. And do you have a really strong weapon equipped? Something that could potentially one-shot that amount of damage? I mean, it doesn't have to be that strong. It's going to be like 250 damage. Do you have something that could deal 250 damage right now to a mirror? Guess not your melee. Where are we getting the health from on Gara's ability? Well, the amount of hit points on the ability itself. We're trying to figure out where we're getting it from because all conventional information has just failed. Yep, definitely one-shot territory. So it's not like it's scaling to the number of hits. You can just blap it. Oh, that's my face. Damn console players. They're just too dangerous. They don't know how to reload their guns. Square is reload and finisher? Yeah, it's reload on context action. Those of us with more than 10 buttons to play with don't need to do that, but it's fine. Alright. So we've narrowed down a lot of details. There was a suggestion of changing my own hit points and see if that changes the result. So let's slap in just a good old Arc of Vitality. Once again, Ellie, we're going to have you use the secondary to see if you can pop it still in 7 hits, okay? That sounded like 7 to me. Yeah, still looking like it's 7. Damn. So, it's not affected by strength, or range, or duration, or my health. I'm getting the impression it's just not affected by anything, that it's a fixed value. Is it really just a fixed value of hit points on the shields? Not on the shields, on the mirrors? Because if so, that's terrible. That's completely unworkable. That is completely unworkable. Yeah. So if they've got about 250 or somewhere in that region of health, they will get obliterated by Steel Path enemies. They will just get obliterated. So Spectre Rage is out, unless you have already controlled the enemies, which is probably why it's worked so well for the likes of Vauban before now. Vauban can just drag enemies in. Is it affected by armor? Hell, we've tested nearly enough for everything else, let's test the armor. Okay then, Ellie, let's do it. Nope. That's still it. Ah, damn. Well, the odds it's affected by enemy level. Warframes are only level 30. It's not affected by enemy level because we had a level 2 struggle to do anything to them until it threw a grenade. But a level 40 enemy quickly cleaned them up, and level 200 was just one-shotting every single one. In fact, it looked like it was switching between mirrors in the same burst of its gun, which is impressive and frustrating. Alright, last try. What about shields? It's the only other stat I have left to modify that could be of any relevance. Go for it. No. So yeah, this does mean that Spectre Rage is just useless to me. It only lasts for half the mirrors, not the entire number of mirrors, and those mirrors have basically no hit points. So to use it as an energy generator when enemies are not otherwise crowd controlled is... it's out. Gara can't do that. Thank you. Well, that is some impressive survivability. Let's fix that. Hesitancy, code of Myra 60%. That it is. Thank you for the reminder. Alright. Ellie, thank you very much for the assistance. Much appreciated. Savage, I always call my test subjects. Gotta make sure we have a complete lethality rate. After all, we do abide by the Geneva checklist here. And that means that all prisoners must be executed in the most painful way possible. Absolutely. Why even give them hit points? It's kind of points. What's kind of the point of even having them? So the point of them having hit points is that they're supposed to reflect back the damage, but it looks like they just have a damage they reflect back, and the hit points are independent of that, which is counter to what the wiki states, and so suggests to me that in the past they may have had more hit points, but something has broken. I get the distinct impression there is a bug here, because according to the old wiki info, each mirror will break upon receiving some amount of damage, releasing a spectral energy back to the attacker. In the miscellaneous, it has mirrors absorb 50% absorb damage per mirror. But that is... no, that's a Splinter Storm thing, so it's not relevant to that. So my understanding from reading the ability is that if it says damage 1272, that's how much damage it takes to break a mirror, and that's the amount of damage it bounces back. Yeah. How often are abilities just buggy in the Simulacrum? I started in the Simulacrum here after having already tried it in Mission, and the Spectral Rage just got obliterated in seconds in Mission. The info on the wiki must come from some kind of tests as well, since there's no info in-game? Correct, yes. Which is why I'm surprised. There is a... I usually say the wiki is 97% accurate. There is that chance, there is the lizard quotient, that someone might have just gone, I think I see how Spectral Rage works. I'm just going to type in words now and this is how it looks. Da-di-da-di-da-di-da-di-da. Very possible. People do just type in descriptions, and if they look correct, people just go with it. Might be correct, might not, but testing it is more hassle than it's worth. You've seen how much hassle we've had to go through here just to test things. So the wiki is 97% accurate, old and new, and that means that I would give 97% confidence to that actually being how Spectral Rage used to work. At some point, the mirrors have switched to having only 250 or so health, exact amount. Not that fussed to verify, it's in that ballpark. And no scaling from strength, or range, or duration, or health, or shields, or armor. We tried all of those stats. Nothing varied it. If it varies with efficiency, I will book a flight to Canada and slap whoever invented Gara. Point is, it doesn't scale usefully. And because it doesn't scale usefully, it means then that on Steel Path, it does just get obliterated. And if it gets obliterated, then that's no use to us. Because if it dies so damn quickly, I can't actually use the ability for energy generation, because the ability's gone. I mean, guys, if you find errors in the wiki, you can correct them. I talked about this moment ago on stream, but sure. Godly not saying, by the way, I tested and put in a damage calculator to confirm. Good Riven, Coda Synapse deals less damage compared to normal Synapse with the same build due to disposition. Yeah, that's a pretty common thing. If there's a new weapon variant that comes out on a high disposition weapon, Rivens will make the new weapon weaker unless it has some bonkers stat boost, yeah. That just happens. Yeah, Yubi, it wasn't even energy max that could be relevant. There's nothing relevant to what Spectral Rage is putting out here. It's just a fixed value number, which makes it absolutely unworkable at higher tiers. Absolutely unworkable, because the time is part of the aspect of it. Keep the enemies detained and distracted, so that when I kill them, they generate energy. But if the ability runs out, it's no bueno. So yeah, that confirms what I was experiencing. Spectral Rage is in fact no good for this, and so going with the Nourish approach is just correct. When I was running the Nourish approach, energy just wasn't a concern, because I'm generating a whole bunch boosted by Nourish. So if I, let's just grab this. Wait for display changes? Yeah, they come every 3 months and they're never that big, so good luck. Good luck on waiting on dispos. Yeah, if I just run this in real quick right now. pop ourselves right into that. At least we know having more mirrors isn't worse mirrors. True. Yeah. It's a lot of energy regen. Gara needs it.
You may yet avoid it. Trust in your training.
Come on, get to level, you die. Thank you. Yeah, I've just used up all of my energy there, but I need energy to cast all of my abilities. So the amount of regen is allowing me to even cast a bit. But it does also mean that energy orbs will give me big drops too. That's kind of a big deal. And this mission is even nicer because with the strength bonus we can pick up here for Nourish, making Nourish even more effective. That energy regen is now singing! You can see the effectiveness of this setup here. Let's do that, get a quick boost just to recharge the duration. We need our subsume slot, or can we go for Varuna subsume plus equilibrium? If you wanted to go for a different subsume, if you wanted to use Varuna and subsume and a mod, I suppose I'm using Energy Nexus, so I am also using a mod for it. If you wanted to go that route, you absolutely can. The reason that I would say Nourish would probably be better is because you also get the viral armor effect, staggering enemies and applying viral to them, and you also get just the viral damage bonus. So you're dealing more damage, you have a chance of applying viral for enemies which are tough enough that it matters. To me, that feels better than comboing in a different kind of energy regen. I can cast 2 on my Sentinel. Oh, they don't need it. They don't die that much. Now, downside with this approach at the moment is the enemies are taking a fucking age to get to me, and so my kill rate is not too good. Why is that? Where's my kills? Why are they all over here? I've moved into the next room. Move up, you. That's fine. I'll just hunt them down. It's not ideal for survival strats, but I'll hunt them down. Yeah, this level of energy support I'm able to maintain. And it's proven pretty effective. Enemy spawns notwithstanding. You compare this to the Spectre Rage, where even if it did work, I would have to set it up in appropriate places. There is that energy regen optimization placement. Versus just, hey look, enemies here. Smack. Oops, accidentally let my 2 run out. Well, there goes all the bonus on it. And a wasted cast of my 4. Why are the enemies at... Seriously, where are they all clustering again? I don't know what it is, but sometimes enemies just seem to decide to not charge at me in a survival. And it definitely screws up kill rates. Why y'all over there? Close in. Swipe right better. Yeah, you know, Gara's just all about that Tinder life. And look, every single enemy she swipes right on falls for her. It's a match made in heaven. They're all wait for host migration? Probably. Yo, Jellyfish, thank you very much for a resubscription there, and followed up immediately by Fat Cat. Both of you, thank you very much for supporting the channel here with your subscriptions. Both at tier 1, one for 6 months and one for 26 months. What a pairing. Much appreciated. Bring up this. Oh, we got a Jade somewhere. Where you at, JD? A little bit harder to tell which one's a Jade with the highlighting. There it is. Get rid of the sentience. Nice and easy. Yeah, aside from... my kill rate is... It's about where it should be. I guess I'm just being a bit unlucky with the drops. Could Blind Range Strength be overkill? So the Blind Range Strength is contributing not only to the damage of our ability, but also to the energy regen that we get from Nourish. So as much as it is costing us efficiency, we're making up that efficiency. Also, people tend to complain at me if I don't go for Ultra Max Strength builds.
I feel they are seeing the consequences of that risk now.
For you, perish. Thank you. Yeah, if I ever leave Strength on the table, people do tend to get rather annoyed with me. Like, no, what? Violet Shards, Atlas, you can use Arcane Battery. Arcane Battery, Kengineer, Kengineer, Arcane Battery, this Kengineer. I got so many comments about bloody Arcane Battery. Because, did you know, purple shards count? Yes, I did know. And you know what I also know? Arcane Battery is not an efficiency boost. It is a max energy boost. So if you use that, you're not going to use Steadfast. Or you're not going to use Arcane Fury, and then you're just going to lose a whole bunch of damage, undoing the effect of picking up the purple shards. So which Arcane are we dropping? Are we dropping the efficiency needed and called out specifically in the build and making it way now you can't actually get them done? Or are we going to drop the damage and actually now end up with a worse result having spent more expensive shards? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Come on now. Around the numbers, the Violet ain't better. Unless you give up something else in the build. The closest that someone came to making a suggestion that's workable is they said, oh, drop the range, then you can fit in Prime Flow, and then that triggers the purple shards. It's like, you wanna drop the range to take your one-shot kill and turn it into a one-shot kill, but smaller. With more expensive shards. Like, whose solution is this? So yeah. Let's say I put a thing for Arcane Battery because new people ask about it before realizing Violet Shards don't update dynamically. When you say don't update dynamically, hold on. So I ran the numbers only for something that doesn't actually even update dynamically? Are you saying that it just never turns on? That doesn't sound right. You actually telling me it just never turns on? Hi, Mania. Bye, Mania. Was fun, Mania. You tested it. Violet Shards don't respect battery if it's not in the arsenal. It has to be pre-rubble armor. Oh boy, okay. See, I'd only run the numbers. I didn't go for a practical test because I didn't want to shove purple shards into Atlas for something objectively weaker. But now you're telling me it doesn't even work? Oh, that's amazing. So all of those comments, ignoring the math, thinking they've got it figured out, are even now still just wasting their time. Oh, that's... Oh. I'll have to verify this, of course, but if it's verified, that's going into a pinned comment. That absolutely deserves to be in a pinned comment, so no one else looks at comments and goes, ooh, that would work. I like Arcane Battery. It make funny number. 1, doesn't make funny number. 2, if it doesn't even fucking work. Just gimping the build for nothing. Found anything unique about Gara? Yes. Spectral Rage is absolute dog shit. Because all the mirrors have a fixed health of around about 250-ish. Which means on Steel Path, They just get obliterated. And this is bad. This is bad. I also suspect that wasn't always the case, but hey, you know what? That's Warframe for you. Captain Calamity, apparently on PS5. Thank you very much for subscribing with your Prime, and welcome onto your channel proper. Enjoy your lovely blue sub badge and all the bits and pieces and comes along with that there. To be clear, when I say bits, I don't mean Twitch bits. But otherwise, yes. Yeah, this setup is just working. The Nourish, Energy Nexus, Archon Stretch, Influence Approach gets the job done. Even against the Sentients. And then these guys. One down. Take out all of these. Another one down. Worms down. Oh no! It'll come back in a minute or so. There you are. You've been using Rhino with full purple's battery health converged for so long. Yeah, we're gonna have to definitely verify this whole purple thing, because that's a big damn deal. That can affect a lot of potential options. Because Arcane Battery is dynamic. We know this for a fact. But if it turns out that Arcane Battery purple isn't, that's wild. That is wild. When's the next dev stream? Don't know if the date's been announced yet. Anyway, I've done enough here to demonstrate that I'm satisfied with the capabilities of this build. Let's get ourselves out of here. And we're in. Or out. One of the two.
Was greater. This is good.
I'm saying, yeah, friend of mine, Concrete, in-game, said to actually try and catch his stream. I do love learning about mechanics in Warframe. Hey, well, thank you, Concrete, for the recommendation, and thank you, Captain Calamity, for following up on it. Welcome on in. Alright. So, let's have a look. Do I have a purple sharded frame to quickly test with? Who's likely to be the purples? Oh, if only clicking them showed me which shards I had, not just that I have shards. Wukong, are you purple? Oh, there's purples. Are they? And they're the ones I'm looking for. And Wukong has an armor generating ability. Good. Good. This is going to allow me to do the test. Okay, then. That was really quick and easy to figure out. Let's de-equip the companion so it doesn't get in the way of things. So what I'm going to want then is a reliable damage hit. And I think... Redeemer is... No, Strophe is probably going to be the way. Strophe is going to be the way. Let's set the purple lighting for you there. There you are, Bite. So the reason for Strophe is because it's a gunblade with a single heavy hit that I can utilize. So, let's pop out the arsenal back in for a moment. Strophe. Okay. So it's claiming 5.6 crit multiplier going to 8 times, and that I presume is as a result of Prime Flow being on. If I take that off, reload the arsenal to be certain, it should now just be flat 5.6. Nope, 6.8. Okay. So 6.8 going to 8 times with Prime Flow on there. Okay. So taking that into account, if I swap out Bolt Efficiency for Battery, I do have a max rank 1, thank goodness for that. At the moment, my max energy isn't reaching the 500 threshold. But when I add on the 1500 armor from this, that should do it, right? Yeah, that'll do it. That will do it. Normal flow? Why would we need normal flow? At least saying only sack set to make it 112% crit chance. Yeah, I'm gonna Do I have a... You know what, I don't know what this build in particular is for, so babbity-babbity-babbity-bop. There we go, I've got a slightly downrank sack steel already on here, which is brilliant. So that'll do us for the attacks there. We don't need to do a heavy attack, so I don't need to worry about heavy attack bonuses. That will just do the work we needed to do. And because it is going to be doing impact damage, yeah, the actual range attack should just be impact. As long as I'm up against, well, anything actually, we don't need to worry about modifiers. We're looking at variation. So I think that has everything for the test. Let's head into Simulacrum and give that a quick whirl. If we get problem numbers in the Simulacrum, I will then also test in a mission, which will be a little bit more difficult to pull off, but I'll try. I will try. Here we go. I don't need to worry about any combo mechanics because I've got nothing equipped that will affect combo. I think, let's make sure there's no Gladiator mod on Wukong. Nope, no combo effects. Excellent. Alright. Let's figure out what's going on. Also, Master Regnak with the Prime subscription up onto 9 months now. Cheers indeed for that. Much appreciated. Oh. Cheers. Yeah, don't do it, Dan. We'll see. We'll see how this all comes together. Level 40 might not be enough to stack up the damage. Let's go 80. Alright. So, starting test. Control test. 2351. 2351. 2351. Less. Yeah, I just need to make sure I don't over combo it. So 2351. Let's get this armor. That was a bit weird, but we have our armor. 2351. 2351. 23. Oop, and then that's combo effect. That's a orange crit. 2351. And if I just do that, Arcane Battery is indeed turning on there. So, yeah. No effect. Blow up the grenade. That's pretty consistent for me. Yeah. So Violet Archon Shards do not work with variable energy modifiers. They only work if you start with the correct energy. Seems like an extreme bug. Bug or design is really hard to say. I would call it a bug, but yeah. So yeah, Ellie, I'm gonna put some blast on that. I'm gonna make that a little bit more well known. Armor, not energy. Well, the thing is, the armor's updating our energy, and it's the shards that work off the energy, not the armor. So LU, like, the armor should be updating, right? Or did I just not pay attention to that bit? Hold on. Let's get this guy to shoot me again. So he shoots me. It runs out. And yeah, the energy max has now massively increased. I've got 700 max energy. 2351. Yeah. So yeah, it's just not a possibility. Riddick, you say Atlas can hit the relevant numbers from an arsenal, but that requires build trade-offs like Umbral Fiber. If you wanted to go Arcane Battery, it just shows that Arcane Battery is out as a reasonable option. The only reasonable option for him would be to throw on Prime Flow, which incidentally is what I had on my Wukong. What did I have here? I think it was Efficiency. Excuse me. Efficiency. There's a sandwich trying to come up this time. There we go. So yeah. They say, it sucks because did the mouse, if it works as intended, Atlas Prime would only need like 300 rubble to activate it, no armor investment. Yeah. Unfortunately, it still requires replacing an arcane with arcane battery just to trigger the purple shards, where you're now either screwing up your efficiency via steadfast or you're screwing up your damage via fury. Because that's the thing. You can't just put an arcane on for free. You have only so many mod slots. Arcane steadfast is a mod. It's an arcane. They function like mods. It's a mod. Regardless of how you look at it, whether it's mod, arcane, or just an upgrade, point is, you've got 2 slots. You need to replace one of these if you want to go for a battery build. The other alternative, as someone had said, is to replace Augur Reach, dropping the range down so that you can then have Prime Flow in there, which would then allow you to go for Violet Shards, which would increase your damage output at the expense of losing range. And I gotta say, I did not find the damage suffering with Landslide. So why spend all that extra time getting those additional shards and throwing down the range a little bit? Granted, only a little bit, but still losing a chunk of the range to one-shot harder. It's just a poor choice, in my opinion. It is also the only Augur mod on there, but you can put Augur mods on your secondary, so that's less of an argument. That is less of an argument. So yeah, that's how it all shakes out, really. Some people like the big number more than the kills per minute. Well, hey, if you like the big number more than the kills per minute, if you like just doing it differently, that's fine. But at no point do I want to give out builds to people where I go, right, so this is doing it wrong intentionally just because haha number go burr. If your number isn't negative damage cap, the number's not gone burr enough and there's no point in me talking about it. So yeah. It do be like that. So, we've learned a couple things today. Atlas and others that use variable energy bonuses do not get to trigger the bonus off of Violet Shards. And now we've also discovered that Spectre Rage has a fixed something like 250-ish damage, 250-ish health on each mirror. Once half the mirrors are shattered, and by shatter I mean they go slightly more transparent, then the whole ability collapses, making it unusable on Steel Path. Great! Absolutely great. Did I know that Gara's Lash won't hit enemies at the start of the swing with high cast speed? So I hadn't played around with high cast speed on her, I'll be quite honest. I hadn't played around with that too much. So when you say high cast speed, how high does it need to be before it becomes a problem? Queen requesting some ERM music. Okay. Let's have a look. ERM. Expecting rock music? Yeah, that's probably what you mean. Yeah, expecting rock music. That's fine. If you're expecting rock music, I can put rock music on for you. All good, Queen. Oops, I appear to have hit the wrong playlist. Oh no. Can EDM? I'm aware that EDM exists, yep. Anyway. Pure torture for Queen? Definitely. Queen, I bully you because you can't use your ears despite requesting the EDM that is playing. That's why we bully you. You come into here, you demand music, you get exactly what you ask for, and even when it's playing, you're still upset. What can I do at that point? If you can't tell the difference between EDM and rock, yeah. You hear it now? Yeah, because I've told you. Oh dear, Queen. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, so when it comes to... Why is that one downranked? Eh, whatever. When it comes to Khora. In terms of the stat builds needed, it shouldn't have changed all that much. Why is this one 100%? What did I do to this build? Doesn't look like a good enough range for it, but yeah, no, fair enough. Probably fine. It's probably fine. I built it in the past and it worked, so I'll double check my own Khora guide later, I'll be honest. But now this needs to be addressed. This currently empty area. Do I have a minimum range build? I don't have a minimum range build, but if you need a minimum range build, good news, there's only one mod that reduces range. So you put that on. That should do the trick. Okay, so Khora has got a exceptionally balanced set of stats here. 25% crit chance, 25% status chance, 2 times critical multiplier, and 50, 50.1, and 50 damage on the 3 spread here. I wonder if that 50.1 is to make it where the damage type is considered slash for splitting bodies. I wonder if that's why that's there. Don't do it, say FY range is AoE blast, the end of a whip, so reach scales it like Atlas. I'm aware, yes, thank you. I'm aware. And that is going to matter more on Khora if I have such a small range on it. So in Khora's case, it actually matters. We can make use of prime reach. Question is the direction to take this. I'll be honest, I think it's going to probably be the same approach as near enough everything else, but melee duplicate might have more of a place, given that crit chance. Because if we run something like Blood Rush on there, that's going to give a 440% increase to this, bringing us to 133, something like that. 135. Oh well. 135%. So that is pretty much the sweet spot for melee duplicate. That is gorgeous, to put it right there. It does mean that putting on something like Gladiator Might would take us outside of the sweet spot, because we'd be getting additional crit chance. It also means that Galvanized Steel would be a little bit of a pain there. And I wonder if this might be a case for a very unusual kind of min-maxing, where we down-rank Blood Rush. That might... What the hell is this track? Oh good, it's ending, that's what it is. Down there, tend to count puncture procs given her status chance, but one-shotting things muddies the math a bit. I mean, if you one-shot, you don't need to worry about the status effects, yeah. How much would Gladiator Might and Galvanized Steel give? They'll both max out at 110% each, so 220%, half the effectiveness of Blood Rush. So if you just use those two, you'd end up at 80% crit chance, which is too low. It's too low. So, let me think on the numbers on this for a moment. If we assume Gladiator Might as well in here, which might be too much, I'll run the numbers separately on that in a moment. Gladiator Might adding the 0.6, bring this up to 3.2. This will add on another double of that bonus, so 2.4 added in, that'll be 5.6 crit multiplier. 5.6 crit multiplier. So let's see then. A fully stacked Blood Rush with... I'm going to get out a notepad. Let's do this correctly. Let's get a notepad. Alright. Pop it over here. There we go. Alright. So if we have a 5.6 times... Oops, not 56 times, I wish. 5.6 times critical multiplier with 3 mods. That's Blood Rush, Gladiator Might, Galvanized Steel. Full ranks, we get crit chance of 25% multiplied by the base, Blood Rush, Gladiator Might, Galvanized Steel, which comes out to 1.9? Yeah, 1.9, so that's 190%. So at that scale, that's well outside of what we'd want for duplicates. At that point, duplicate triggers only 10%. Which would be a little bit no bueno. Elements say it would be either a double hit from duplicate or a crit here is more damage. Not sure I follow the question. But yeah. Duplicate is equal to an orange crit? Nope. A duplicate can be worth more than an orange crit. In fact, at minimum, it's worth more than an orange crit, so long as you are already at 100% crit chance. Because the way it works out is that you add your crit bonus per crit tier, but your crit bonus is 1 less than your critical multiplier. Your base damage is always in there. So, say you have a 5.6 times critical multiplier, a yellow crit is 5.6, an orange crit is going to be 5.6 plus 4.6, which is less than 2 5.6 hits. You're missing out on that. 1. Not only that, but a duplicated hit re-rolls its crit chance. So if you have a crit chance above 100% but below 200%, not only can you hit a duplicate hit, but the duplicate can itself become an orange crit. So now you've got the 5.6 from the initial hit and the duplicate of, what's that come out to? 10.2. So you can get significantly more damage if you get the right balance. And that's what I'm trying to min-max here. Yeah, Shaz, RNG do be like that. RNG do be like that. So, this is a setup using the fully ranked mods. That means that we've got a 10% chance of yellow, a 90% chance of orange, and the 10% chance of yellow is going to duplicate, or duplicate I should say, melee duplicate, give us a duplicate hit. So we're duplicating the hit. Pronunciation is annoying. So that's also a 10% chance of the average damage output again, which would be 10% of yellow and 90% orange. So the way we can set that all out mathematically is that we have the 10% of orange plus, let's do that, 10% of orange plus 10% of orange plus 90% of, sorry, 10% of yellow plus 10% of yellow plus 90% of orange, which is 10.2, plus the 90% of just orange. So the average output of the fully ranked mods would be a multiplier of 10.72. So going up from the full orange of 10.2 all the times, duplicate is increasing that only by 0.52, if you look at it that way. Not a very big increase, but that's because we're running it off of a 190% chance, which is pretty low. Well, not pretty low, it's too high. You know what I mean, the duplicate rate is low. So yeah, I do have lower rank Blood Rush ready to go. I can have a look at that one there. This one's 25.5 times the stacks gives us 280.5% crit chance bonus. Plus the 220 from the other two mods will be a 500.5% total critical chance bonus, which would be 600.5 times the base, or near enough just 6 times the base, which would give us about 150% crit chance. Yeah, 150.125. I'm just going to round that to 150. Because life is short and so am I. So 150% crit chance. For the same critical damage. That would give us a 50% chance of 5.6 plus 50% of 5.6 plus 50% of 10.2 plus the 50% of 10.2, which all comes out to 11.85. So that is higher. By downranking the Blood Rush whilst using melee duplicate, we get a higher result. So that is good. We do have something workable there. The question is, where is the min-max on that? And you know what, at this point I think Notepad might not be good enough. Now that I have the working equation, how do I translate it? So what I'd want to have is y, which would be the final average output, is equal to okay, Blood Rush per rank goes up by how much? It's 3.6 per rank? Not quite. What is it per rank? It's 40 divided by 11, isn't it? Which is 3.636. Oh, gods. I would just do 40 over 11 for actual accuracy. So if it's 3.636 blah 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 blah, 40 over 11 per rank, per level of Blood Rush we get a critical chance bonus of 0.25 times that, so 0.25 times. That is that 0. Yeah, 0.909%. Okay. I'm sorry, no, I'm turning off EDM. I cannot math with EDM in my ears. It just doesn't work. EDM sucks for math. Explains a lot. And at the same time, Ellie's like, anything other than EDM. I might just take out the EDM entirely. Queen, you're basically the only person that requests it, and there's too many tracks that just suck. I'm gonna be honest. It sucks. I'm gonna take it out. Alright. So the 0.5 is actually representing a... Oh, Ray apparently also requests EDM. Fair enough. Well, it's still absolute noise to me. I'll be quite honest. It just does the absolute best that it can to hammer their brain until there's nothing left but 2 brain cells lying in a puddle of their own hopes and dreams. Wishing they could just actually think. Yeah. And I like to be able to think. Alright. So we've got... This number goes down with ranks of Blood Rush. Where does it start without the Blood Rush? What is our crit chance without Blood Rush again? It was 25 times 1.1 plus 1.1. Yeah, it starts at 80%. 80% would be too low and breaks the math. Okay. So if I go... This is getting slightly weird to figure out. Yeah, for each rank of Blood Rush, we have a 0.1. At maximum Blood Rush, we're at 0.1 yellow chance. For each additional rank down a Blood Rush, we gain back 0.09%. And that's representing 10%. Which at full ranks of Blood Rush... Head does not want to run these numbers. It's not that per rank, is it? Oh, it's per rank per combo. That's what I've missed here. I was wondering where my numbers were. It's per rank per combo. I need to take that 0.9% and multiply it by 11. Got it. Which is just 10% per... At full combo, Blood Rush is very literally 10 percentage points more crit chance per rank. How did I not see that? Because I had EDM in my ears earlier and blew out the whole of it. There it is. Okay. Have we already ruled out exposure? I want to get around to that next. So, if we start at... we go 1.2. And this is going to break the math on the first couple ranks, but we also won't want just a couple ranks on Blood Rush. But yeah, each pip of Blood Rush adds 40% of crit chance per tier at full combo. It doesn't matter what the division is. At full combo, that's what it comes to. Hence why it's 440 with all the pips. Yeah. Minus then 0.1x. Multiplied by, we got our fixed crit multiplier. Plus, again, this value. Because that is our yellow side times the 5.6. Plus, and then it's the other side. So we'd want to have 0.1x. Oops. Minus 0.2, because we start at 80% chance. There's negative 0.2% chance. Sorry, negative 20% chance of a orange crit. So the first couple ranks are just going to break, but I'm going to acknowledge that. 10.2. So I'm going to shove this into Desmos and just solve. Yeah, as Shinobi's saying, Blood Rush reaches a max of 440%, not 480, because on the majority of weapons, and that includes Whip Claw, you will not reach 13 times combo. It gives you one stack per combo you've gained over the base. At the base value, 1 times combo, Blood Rush has no effect. It's one of those inconsistencies where Blood Rush is giving you bonus for additional combo. So yeah, as much as it says plus 40% crit chance stacks with combo multiplier, it doesn't count the first. We indexed to 0 on this one, frustratingly. But yeah. Alright, let me grab the Desmos graph. Let me shove this into it. Does that create a beautiful... what the hell? There's no way. Before I show you that graph, I'm going to check the numbers I've just got here. just going to quickly check those, because they... So we got 0.5. This is translating into that. So yeah, we got chance of yellow multiplied by 5.6 plus chance of yellow multiplied by yellow bonus plus chance of orange multiplied by orange bonus plus this bit on the end. That's what I was missing. Actually, that's a plus, so it shouldn't matter, right? No, it's not just a plus. It's got a multiplier in there. I was missing a bit on the equation. Whew, I was going to say. And now we have a solution. Okay. Now we have something, and I'm very, very happy to show you that math has given us the ultimate answer, and it might actually be the best answer I could have received here, for personal reasons. Here is our graph. Oh, sorry anyone I just flashbanged, I forgot to warn you. Flashbang, there's Moss. Anyway, this absolutely gorgeous curve, for anyone who still has eyeballs, this is, in mathematical terms, asking the question, how many pips of Blood Rush should one have, how many stacks, in order to get the maximum result? Because this curve is the average output for X ranks of Blood Rush. Now you'll notice that it continues beyond the max ranks of Blood Rush. That's just a limitation of the mod. If the mod could be leveled up forever, then you could theoretically go down there and just ruin the build. But also, there is a limit in the math. Melee duplicate only exists between 100 and 200% crit chance. Outside of that, it is irrelevant. And that's also not taken into account in this equation. So in terms of actually limiting the equation, it's only relevant from... Let's see... Yeah, so that 0 is no Blood Rush. 1 is Blood Rush unranked. And there's Blood Rush rank 1, 2, 3, 4. Blood Rush rank 5 is the peak. The peak is at Blood Rush rank 4.91304, but you can't have Blood Rush rank 4.91304, so it's Blood Rush rank 5. At Blood Rush rank 5, we will get our absolute best result based on putting those together. The question is if that is better than the alternative options out there. But that tells us the best that we can get out of comboing those mods together. The other question, I suppose, is how does that work if we remove Gladiator Might? How would the equation look then? The Gladiator Might is applying a 27.5% maximum bonus. I think. Ignore the blue line until finished. Would be... Oh yeah, I need to update the crit damage as well for having taken it out. Gladiator Might is adding in 1.2. And yeah, I'm seeing it's just not going to be smart to do that. 4.4 be then 7.8. Yeah. Okay, so completing the equation, removing Gladiator Bite from the equation. We get to stack up Blood Rush higher for still maximum effect, but the maximum effect is still just worse. It's just much, much, much worse. The average multiplier is so much lower. So yeah. From JS Gamer saying, your YouTube videos help me learn about how to use the frames, and I appreciate you. Also, does reload speed affect the reload mechanic for the glaives on Cedo? Very good question. I don't actually know. I don't think the glaives should be affected by reload speed, other than you can't fire a glaive whilst reloading the main ammo. But I don't think it should have any effect from my experience. No. But I haven't tested it expressly, so I can't be certain. I think it mostly comes down to time until they get back. And that's definitely not affected by reload speed. Is melee duplicate not base crit only? Yeah, that's why I'm graphing out this. We are looking into bits. Does this equation include Galvanized Steel? Yes. So the red one is doing Blood Rush, Galvanized Steel, and Gladiator Might. The blue one is doing just Blood Rush and Galvanized Steel. No Gladiator Might. And it shows that even though we can rank a Blood Rush higher, as you might expect, by losing the crit chance and crit damage from Gladiator Might, we just can't compete in terms of output there. However, I am skipping a detail. If we take out Gladiator Might, we can put in Organ Shatter. That's why we take it out. Duh, of course, I knew that. Organ Shatter at 0.9 would add 1.8. So this would be 6.2 multiplier. It's all about what we actually trade for, not just what we lose. And 6.2 plus 5.2 is 11.4. Aha, I take it back. We have a new peak. And that peak is at Blood Rush rank 8. Yeah. And I imagine most people would not want to be maxing their Blood Rush. So how bad is 11 compared to the peak? You lose... Oh, that's very little damage. You lose very little going for max rank Blood Rush. Hold on, where was it? There it is. I know I could put a line across, I'm just being lazy. Yeah, by using a fully ranked Blood Rush instead of 2 pips down with this setup, you'd be missing out on 1.9% of the damage. I think we can survive that. I think we can survive that. So yeah. Is it 1.9? Hold on, let's add an extra decimal place in. Yeah. Yeah, 1.9. Okay, cool. Shinobi say, if you use Corrupt Charge with Naramon, you can make an 11 times build. Well, 11 times combo? So 12 times? Then you're missing out on the damage multiplier from 11 to 12, and I don't know if that'll be worth it. But yeah. Organ Shatter, over Gladiator Bite, and theoretically, for absolute min-maxing, if you wanted to duplicate, this would be 2 pips down, but you know what? Bugger that. Now, the other question is if we're running duplicate versus exposure. So this year, we are getting 25 times 1 plus 4.4 plus 1.1. This setup has given us 162.5% critical chance. getting us the value out of melee duplicate, but that could instead be melee exposure. That's going to come down to the rest of the build. Melee exposure is more powerful the less elements on the rest of the build, simply because you are adding an elemental bonus. It works out simply that way. Captain Calamity saying, I always thought melee duplicate went off base crit and Blood Rush shouldn't work on it. Okay, Captain Calamity, are you saying that because you thought and now you realise you didn't have a reason for it, or do you have a reason for thinking that way? Does exposure have status? No, it just adds a whole bunch of element, no status chance. Just element. You thought never tested. Fair enough then. Okay. So with the rest of this, Prime Reach is going to be a big pickup because it's a absolute bonus to range there, which is just nice. I'm always a fan of Prime Pressure Point because we don't need to prime enemies. We just hit them and they die, which is just nice. We've got our crit sorted. We don't need any attack speed. We don't need any combo gain and whatnot because we should be just gaining enough from attacking. So that should be absolutely fine. Would we even want Galvanized Elementalist going down the stasis approach? Depends on how we're killing, to be honest. Depends on how we're killing. I can give that a try out if needs be, but I think Bane mod and Element is the step here. Bane and Element. Yeah. I didn't even run the numbers on throwing in Gladiator Might as well, but at that point we're just getting a little bit silly. I feel like at that point that is just getting stupid, so let's not do that. We got this horrible D polarity over here. It is a horrible one. Now I could go Spring-Loaded Blade. I don't know if that would work. It would be only +2 range instead of +3, but it would use that D polarity. Otherwise we're a little bit forced into either using something like, well, North Wind or just throwing the polarity away. I'm also currently not using any status chance bonuses. I don't know if I want to go that route. Galvanized Elementalist? Yeah, so again, Galv Elementalist from outside priming. I don't know what those two things are supposed to be together. EO works right? What the fuck is EO? Nope, I don't know what EO is. You lost me on that one. I'm familiar with a lot of the initialisms for mods, but EO has me completely stumped. Energized Orokin? Exalted Ocelot? Energy Obtainer? No, I got no idea. So you're confused with Elemental Overload from WoW. Oh, okay, right. I don't know if Condition Overload works or not, but with every way I've played Khora so far, I've never felt like she needed a primer, but we'll see how it comes together. Oh, right. Applying to Captain. Excited Ostron? They're always excited, aren't they? At the very least, I know one thing isn't going to be necessary on this. We're going to need Formers. Let's get straight onto that. Elements, this is probably going to be a pickup. And then let's go viral for now. If I do that, it does somewhat overwhelm our slash, which is probably not so great, now I think about it. And we can see how it works out. Might end up going a different route there. Might end up going a different route, because the other thing that comes to mind is going a Fever Strike, Weeping Wounds Elementalist approach, or Fever Strike, Weeping Wounds faction mod approach. Something like that. Alright. And yeah, let's try it with the Pilfering Claw setup. Works in the past, why not now? Let's equip our companion, set to our crit support again. What about PR for Weeping Wounds? What about swapping out something with the initials PR? Primed Reach? It's a snare groups and applies 200% so damage fallen. It might be worthwhile dropping the Prime Reach after all, but I'm going to try it out as is for the moment. Actually, do I want to go with Pilfering Claw or start with just a straight Whip Claw approach? Although if I go straight Whip Claw, the radius on that will be better anyway. It's not really a lot of difference in these ones. No, let's go with the Pilfering Claw for the moment and just see what happens. Okay. Let's go camp on Sedna. Always do a little bit of Selkie Sedna. How does Condition Overload work? Nominally, it deals more damage to targets based on the number of unique status effects active on that target.
Their focus impressive.
If you would like more detail than that,
Warrior's death.
the wiki exists to melt your brain. It is not a consistent mod. Cheers, Captain.
They have just shut down all systems. I'm sending life support
Yoink.
capsules your way.
Alright, let's set this up right here. Roll out of that. Set up another one here. Change placement of this one. Alright, cool. If they could run in a bit quicker, that would be great. Why are they taking a while? Oh, they're shooting the fucking clones. Right, no, I'm taking that mod off. That was probably messing with my spawn rates on the Gara mission. That was probably messing with them. Those goddamn floaty little clones. This is why I have companions that sit next to my ass. They screw up spawns. Oh my god, Ken, duplicate spawn, it's the best thing in the world. It makes clones, and the clones can shoot things and give energy orbs. It's fucking terrible. That's what it is. When I'm parked in an area, I want the enemies to run into that area and die. I don't want them shooting at an immortal ghost dealing 3 DPS. Ugh.
The art of
Oh,
combat.
now I've got a really shit spawn room. Come on.
Master, the canvas of war.
They have just shut down all systems. I'm sending life support capsules your way.
Alright. This is not where I want to be. No. Okay, that room actually looks like a good one, so I'm going to force the enemies into here. Could be a little bit dicey to get set up, but let's see what happens. I'm hoping my Kavat will actually get the fuck over here too. That is a good room. What have we got over here? That's a good room. This is good. Alright, this is a good camp. Fuck more up in there. I might need to set these in a bit more so they actually get into the doorway. I need them inside so that I can actually hit them. That's more consistent. But now I have a long line where they can get to me like that. Hmm. 3 entry points, not ideal.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more time.
Yeah, not ideal. Okay. I could risk doing a setup like here and here instead. The risk is if they come behind. Khora is not a fan of Grineer coming from behind. But we'll see how it works. Making somewhat liberal use. No, that triple entry point is getting in the way. Can I take a different angle? Not particularly. I could back up into this room. I have the hold there and here.
Get ready for a capsule.
Hold on, let's get Venari in here. There we are. We'll still get enemies spawning behind us because of that particular curve in the room. But now I've got it in 2 spots. Try it with Shade. From my understanding, the pseudo-exalteds mostly now trigger as an attack. And so Shade and Huras don't actually work. That's my understanding. Venari, please stop screeching. It's just constantly hissing at me. I mean, it's clearing. Don't know how effectively it is clearing, but it's clearing. They are dying. Oh, we got a Jade. Where's the Jade? The Jade is not here? Where the... Oh shit, it's violence. Oh no, I've been silenced. No, not like this. Not like this! Don't teleport to me. There we go. Alright, we stabilized. I haven't stabilized yet. Oh, I didn't cast! Don't kill me! Alright, we're good. We're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. Go with my back. There we are. Peekaboo, you can run in here now. Alright, so this has the basics down. But the damage numbers don't feel amazing, and it's still Khora, I'll be honest. It's still Khora doing Khora things. Okay, I distinctly rolled to get rid of that slash block, but sure, let's not get rid of it. Ow. Didn't think that grenade could hit me, but I guess it did. This is why you run Aegis Prime Redirection. I mean, it doesn't look like I need it. I'm still alive. And the entire time I've only been using my 4-1 combo for the attacks. The entire time. Ow. I haven't even put a subsume in here yet. I can't help but wonder, and I'm gonna say it, I can't help but wonder, what if influence? As much as I've got melee duplicate doing duplicate things, and I've min-maxed the duplicate capability, What if I just influenced it? Does the damage form for whip claw only work with ensnare? I believe it's only ensnare, yeah. Influence ruins drop rates because it scales off the dome. Good for damage when the tile set is dead. When you say it scales off the dome, what, the drop rate scale off the dome? I'm gonna get on that. I get you there. Yeah, you want the enemies to actually get into the dome to die. If they're not in the dome, you don't get double. You'd not mind influence being nerfed at some point? I don't know that I want it nerfed so much as I see it's probably coming. Based on the other melee arcanes D have put out, it doesn't look like they want melee to have that power level consistently. But instead they've opted to just... I don't know. Did they not see it coming? That mass AoE equals mass AoE? Like, surprise! The nature of a nerf would be immaterial to me, it would just be the existence of a nerf is still a nerf. I would rather feel more compelled to use other options than just take away the power of this option. And I say this, I'm not even using it right now. I'm using duplicate. You think D didn't think players would hop on the electric condition? Well, it turns out when they make a whole bunch of changes to damage type vulnerabilities and whatnot, make it where actual damage type is far less important than it used to be, and they cap armor at a 90% damage reduction, making armor stripping less important than it used to be. Meanwhile, electric is still an insta-hit damage type, and then they go, by the way, would you like to apply that lethal electric to everything in an AoE? Or would you like that AoE to multiply off your own AoEs? Probably have activated my dome here. Yeah. This could probably work with a bit more range on the dome, I'll be honest. Oh, who's got that? Where's the Jade? There's a Jade that can see me somewhere. I don't know where they are. Also, hi Mania. Bye Mania. It's been fun, Mania. Yeah, one's dead. Has Venari given up on staying by my side? Chad. Little bitch.
Look what our Tenno operative just found. They could not do this without...
Oops, I've left domes run out. Let's fix those again. So yeah, kill rate at the moment, I'm getting about 114 kills per minute, including the time it took me to find a spot I was happy with. 114 KPM, and this is a pretty dense farm spot. I've got myself a very tight little hole to sit in here. So, let's get out now and go for something a little bit more electric. Right, so I would say the other melee arcanes so much as bad as overshadowed. I find that the majority of the melee arcanes, exposure aside, just seem to have either tight restrictions on how they can apply, or the benefits just aren't significant enough.
Foe, so you conquer yourself.
Alright. That was a lot of affinity gain on Whipple Prime. Not too shabby. Bookkeeper say, I have a question. If I was to replace an ability on Mirage's 1, what ability on Mirage should I... Oh, sorry. If I was to replace your ability on Mirage, 1, what ability on Mirage should I replace? And what can I put on instead? You're doing it wrong. That's the answer. You don't look at a frame and go, I want to replace the ability. What should I do? You're doing it completely wrong. Absolutely wrong there. The way to do it is to look at a frame, look at a setup and go, I could really do with X. I am weak to Y. I could benefit from Z. Find what your build needs that it can't currently provide itself, and that is your subsume. That is your subsume. If you can't find a subsume that fixes a problem, if you don't have a problem to fix, you don't subsume something. Don't look for a subsume, look for a build, and then the subsume answers the build. Not the other way around. Alright, so Khora. Done well so far, and that was with high efficiency, good duration, neutral strength, but that's because Accumulator Whipclaw brings us the strength, and neutral range. That should still be fine. So many exalted features on this one frame. So, let's just copy this config over for the moment. Over here. There we are. Now, just briefly looking at the other arcanes here, there's not a lot to work with. That range is Whittle? The range was low, yes. The range on that was low. It was an older build. I'd have to look into the full details on it, but things can potentially be changed. It's been a while. We've got new options. But in terms of arcanes, melee afflictions, we want them dead. We won't want to be applying additional status effects by knockdown or flung enemies. We want them dead. So that doesn't seem to be an option to me for the same reasons it wasn't on Atlas. Doughty is out because this is not a primary punctual weapon and we are not building into it. So, no. Duplicate we've already looked at. Melee exposure is the bland option. It's, I wouldn't call it the raw of options. It's kind of like the nourish of options more, because it's just straight element boast, but yeah. It is damage, but it has the downside of ruining your status, not status chance, status weighting. It does have that risk. Melee fortification. I mean, if you want the armor, sure, and I have made use of this, for example, in the health tank Banshee build. The problem is that most times you don't want armor this way, and also the independent stacks. So if you go a few seconds without keeping up your kill rate, your armor drops out from under you anyway. There. Would magnetic with melee vortex work for Khora for grouping? It's an option. It certainly is an option. I do notice a lot of people like the idea of melee vortex. I'll be honest, I've never particularly liked it. Ridiculous say, wait, you said exposure can't trigger status earlier. No, I didn't say that earlier, Ridiculous. I said that it doesn't give you status chance. So, either you asked your question wrong, or you heard my answer wrong. Either which way, melee exposure gives you elemental damage. I didn't say it was exempt from status chance. Instead, it applies the elemental damage just as elemental damage. So if you were previously doing 50% damaging status effects, and you add this on, you're now doing a lot less damaging status effects. Yeah. Retaliation. It's such a niche arcane. It is so painfully niche. Because just that little % damage bonus is already... Ugh. To then need a lot of shield to keep stacking it up? No. No. And then, yeah, people getting invested in Vortex. My issue with Vortex is that the pull on it is slow. It seems to take a while to actually bring things in, on top of needing to have enemies afflicted by magnetic for the pull trigger. And the bigger the AoE that you have, the more likely you are to pull enemies to the wrong spot in said AoE. I don't know. I've never been a particular fan of Vortex. In terms of needing to use it to bring enemies into my kill box quicker. And her to exist, and her to exist. There is also that, but that does cost energy and time, whereas this trigger's just on kill. Yeah. Whereas duplicate is duplicate is duplicate. It takes whatever your melee is good at and does more of it if it's within the exact range it needs to be, and we've calculated that we are within that range. Exposure is just more damage if you want more damage at the cost of making your status kind of sucky. And then influence is still influence. Influence is still influence. So let's drop this out for a moment. Let's get that electric in here. Let's just give it a whirl with that. Do I not have an unranked voltaic strike? Wow. Huh. That's unusual. I've got all the others, but apparently I need to get myself another voltaic strike at some point. Gotta say, maybe try out spring-loaded blade too, for even more range. Because I've got prime reach on there. I could swap those two there and then give myself some more capacity to work with, which to be honest would not be a terrible shout considering the range on it doesn't matter that much actually. So there we go, that gives me room for voltaic strike. Jobs are good. I am also still using no weeping wounds for the electric, but let's see, what is our electric output? 24%, and that's before this status kicks in. So yeah, 24 out of 40 is electric. When that kicks in, this will go up to about 67-ish. So our electric chance should be up in the range of like 40-odd%. Yeah. Put me in Eternal Rage. If you want to go for range maxing, you absolutely can. It's not what I've done so far on this, because this is to work with the dome as well. And I guess I'd set that for a neutral approach, keeping it efficient as well. Where could I go with that? I don't particularly want to drop Rolling Guard. I've got Energy Next on here. Was that necessary? I don't think that was necessary. Why was that on here? Why was that on here? No, that can go. Alright. Overextended. Can you fit, or do I need to do some work to make you fit? You are 11. I've got 10. Fuck you. Alright. Don't need that. Don't need Prime Sure-Footed. Screw Prime Sure-Footed. Over it. That's depolarity, so I can't actually put anything useful in there. Well, that sucks. Yeah, run that for the moment. That has improved the range of these bits. Let's see. Ornament slot when? No. We have ornament slots. They're called mod slots. Deal. Deal. Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, I don't have multiple overextendeds. I mean, you can only fit one per build. Yeah, the problem with an augment slot being added is that then augments become somewhat more mandatory, and so to then balance the effect of them, augments become less impactful. We want augments to matter, not just be relegated to an excellence bonus. I don't want augments to be a requirement, further draining our total mod capacity, by the way, meaning even more flavor. When I put an augment on, I want it to matter. I want it to change the nature of the game for that frame. I want it to be doing something new, something cool, something significant.
Life support has been cut off.
Like, for example, accumulating Whip Claw. Completely removing the concerns of strength, because we can gain it anyway through that, which is amazing. Also, wow, that was a lot of influence damage. Oh, I don't need my dome anymore, except I kind of wanted it for the the loot purposes, right? That is obscene. That is obscene. Like, what's it matter about the extra loot from the dome when you can just kill faster, I guess? Hold on, let's just set up 2 domes in this room. Utilize the big AoE to my advantage. Oops, I killed everything.
Get ready for a capsule.
And the dome's still doing something, because I've set them up in 2 opposite ends, so the enemies do run into it a bit. But the ones coming from this room, yeah, they just die to, oh, sorry, you were in the same vicinity as my frame, so, rip. That was a badly placed dome. I'll replace that one.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area.
There we go.
Activating it will buy you more time.
You know what, Lotus? I think I'm good. So yeah, the kill rate here is already a lot higher. For comparison, the kill rate that we got previously, I was getting 114 KPM. So we'll see after 10 minutes what KPM I've got here. If it is significantly higher, even with the inefficiencies of the dome, that's still going to work out positive loot. Now granted, I have changed the build as well, so I'll need to retest on duplicate otherwise, but yeah. We're calling a zip code? Pretty much. And then I'm activating influence across the entire state, you know. Oh, hi. The individual damage isn't that high.
On the way.
Not with this setup. It's just that the combined damage and the reapplication, especially of influence, is stonker. That's one of the biggest things in the favor of influence. I'm just going to stab this guy directly. Is the fact that it multiplies its effect based on every surviving enemy. So rather than just a flat bonus, it scales.
Another life support capsule is now available.
Does build trade single target for wiping the map? I mean, it's doing a good job, yeah. And let's face it, are you really using Khora single target? If you need to kill a single target, get your gun out. It's okay for some things to call for a gun rather than an ability. But yeah, we'll see what the kill rate is. I'm seeing comments about, oh, there's the issue of getting things into the dome. But here's the thing. If enough things are already in the dome, and we're killing a lot faster, then the rate should still be higher. I've got no easy way to measure that other than just comparing kill rates, but if the kill rate is significantly higher, then it doesn't matter that some never actually get to the dome. If anything, we're killing the ones that are just coming from the wrong angle, this angle, that wouldn't get domed so easily. Even Indiana Jones uses a revolver and SMG? Exactly, yes. Combo the whip with some nay-nay, or however that song goes. I don't know. I ain't up to speed.
Additional life support has arrived.
Alright. We are closing in on 5 minutes. Life support hasn't even begun to tickle. We had an acolyte spawn. It perished. It wasn't violence though, so we haven't had a full test yet. Well, there went everything in that postcode. Happy day we damage to chat. I'm good like that. It's fine. If I have to deal with the realities of being older and older and older, such an old man that people joining into my Discord say that they are over a decade younger than me. If I have to deal with that, then I can bring out the old man doesn't understand new age stuff. If it happened after 2010, it's probably irrelevant. I say that playing a game that came out in 2013.
Now watch me whip, kill it. Now watch me nay nay. Okay, now watch me whip, whip watch me nay nay. Watch me do it.
Ay, ay, thank you, Tyken, for the 100 bits. Thank you. Still somehow not the weirdest text-to-speech we've had today, which just adds to it all. Let's go grab the loot from down here as well. Look at all this loot that just happened in the next room over. What are some survivability subsumes? You've got invisibility with Sight of Nine's Evade if you can hit weak spots, or if you're Lavos. You've got Eclipse for damage reduction. Those are the big standout ones straight up. If status is the issue, there is Spellbind. Those are the immediate standout ones. Amamori. I've never been a huge fan of that ability. I'll be honest. How are we doing on that kill rate? Pretty damn stonky. Pretty damn stonks. Alright, we've got a load of things just kind of being silly over there. Let's kill them. There we are. That'll just force some spawns to move around. Hurry up dome over here. Work our way in. Hurry up dome over here. Looking good. Slide through here. Kill everything in the way. Move back around. Non-stop might be fun. You can work with it. It's a bit of a finicky one, but you can work with it. Probably recast this too early, but it's fine. Hey, Violence! Good, we do get to test it. Alright, Violence. Give me your best shot. He silenced me. Oh, he's dead. Well, the electric from melee influence. The electric from melee influence. It did him in.
Eclipse with this prod looks funny.
Eclipse with this would be a little bit ridiculous, yeah. I don't think we need it, but we could. I wonder if Raw might be better because I am relying a lot on these electric procs. I think Raw might be the better way to go. Because everything is influence Raw these days, let's be real. It's the new Hunter Munitions / viral everything approach. Electric Raw influence. Because why wait for Prime Faction mods to come out when you can just faction everything? You're unnourished with electric gas? Fair enough. Mixing all the types there. I imagine that's better with a Weeping Wounds thrown in. This is a no Weeping Wounds approach. Oh, good point. Yeah, Raw and other damage boosts wouldn't work too well on this because of the low strength. You're very right there, Zom. You are very right. That might be a point in favour of Nourish, having just a very small viral inclusion if you're running Weeping Wounds. I could see the value there. Imagine influence during the old memeing strike Atarax days. I wasn't around for those days, so I can't envision it, but I get the idea that would have been dirty, yeah. Run silence on this? Silence would silence violence. So no violence silence, because you silence violence. Yeah. That's the science of silence violence. I've run out of Iron's words right now, I'll be honest. I love how we could see the maximum range influence is reaching to in my normal rotation, based on how deep into the other rooms I have to go to find all of my loot.
fight, the more successful we will be.
Stupid question, but would Prime Reach increase Gas Cloud round on Whipclaw? Range? It shouldn't, no. Gas Cloud has its range from the status effect, not from your modding. So that shouldn't be affected. However, the range at which you apply it, sure, yeah, why not? Because bigger AoE on your attack in the first place. Oops, I didn't pay attention. My domes ran out. Let me fix that real quick. We're at just over 10 minutes. 170 kpm. Maybe a little bit under because just over 10 minutes. We are looking in the ballpark for like 160, 170 kpm. Compared to, what was it, 114 before? If we say 160 versus 114, I'm just going to pause right here. 165 or 114 is a 40% increase. And again, we've had a build update, so I need to retry with the duplicate, but that's a pretty chunky increase, and it allowed me to challenge a pretty big room as well. Apparently Rhino Battery doesn't work for purple pre-damage shards. Rhino Battery, which bit specifically would you be referring to there? No, not that one. Battery is armor into max energy. Battery is armor. I know they mean arcane battery, but Rhino doesn't have variable armor. Oh, you were using health conversion. Right, yeah. That's the bit we were missing. Health conversion into battery, into purple shards. You specified Rhino, not health conversion. That was the bit that was confusing me. Because we had this discussion earlier, but yeah. Someone's assuming one augment? Okay. I mean, that's another source of variable armor. Fair enough. But yeah. Health conversion doesn't work with it. Ooh, definitely put that on one line next time. Yes. Health conversion works, not with arcane battery. No. Not with purple shards. It works with arcane battery, not purple shards. I bet. But yeah. Okay, so in that run there, not only do we get a 160-ish kills per minute, I've got 1700 at 1030. 1700 divided by 1030. Yeah, 161 kills per minute there. In terms of pickups, I got 1,274 pickups. I think that's probably going to be the simplest generic measure I can go by. So in about 10 minutes, yeah, I'm looking at about 120 pickups per minute. Let's run with that, 120 pickups per minute. So let's switch over the Whipclaw back away from Influence onto the old duplicate one, which we still have here. Yep, just run that one as is. Keeping the same Khora build this time, the updated one. See what we get. Hopefully I can get a similar room setup. Actually, I want a similar room setup, so I'll just find one if I can. If not, I will re-roll. We're trying for better than 120 pickups per minute. I'm assuming, because they are double drops, they are counted that way. Alright, what room we got here? That does not look good.
Life support has been cut off.
What room is behind that door? Oh, no, that's too different. That is far too different. Get me out of here! And this is the worst room on this entire tile. Let's try again. I'm going to reload the missions until I can get a similar testing environment. I know from DE's perspective, they could probably spawn these missions in with set seeds, so they could test on identical tiles for this kind of thing. We do not have such freedom.
Only with true
Alright, big door opening. Look at those there. I think that's a long corridor. And then it moves off to something on the left there. Oh, let me through. Let me through. Let me through. Let me through. Thank you. I didn't mean to roll. Yep, so it is a long corridor. Something off up to the top. Oh god, that's not the way. No, no, not this monster of a room again. No, what's through here? Small connector room. Is there... I want the walkways room. Just give me the walkways, not this one. I need the furnaces. I think they're furnaces. Don't ever properly look at them. As I was saying, less dev tools are much more robust than Simulacrum. I have reason to believe their dev tools are more robust than just Simulacrum. I have a strong reason to believe it. We know that DE can create specific combinations of tiles when needed. So I have every reason to believe they can set seed for a mission. Every reason to believe it.
Underestimate them at your peril.
They have just shut down all systems. I'm sending life support capsules your way.
Okay, so I want to go out of this one. That... I didn't get a good look at that room. What was that room? Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Yes! Good. Alright, we got it. And connected to a corridor room, so that's very similar to what we had before. Let's get to work. 120 drops per minute is what we're aiming to match with. Already I can feel that the enemies are spending more time in the dome. I'm actually going to center these domes a bit more, because I want to catch them from all sides as much as possible into the domes. But focus is still on kill count to get the drop count.
Get ready for a capsule.
Lay up this, because I think it's about time. Just to be clear, I'm once again not using a primer. I'm not using any operator shenanigans. I'm not using any fancy tech. I am being very basic with Khora here. Just trying to set up domes and get value out of them.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area.
The entire question is influence that much better that it overrides the value of waiting for enemies to get to the dome? I don't currently know the answer, but we are certain to find out. Two minutes in, how's it looking? 273 kills. That's a lot of kills, actually. Maybe this room is just better than the one I had before. It's part of why we're testing like this. Being able to control such a wide area of it because of the two domes at large range.
Prepare for life supply.
Once again, Lotus, do not need it, but thank you for the offer. Let's free up the dome. Strike down this side. Free up the dome. Good stuff.
I've
3 minutes in. Can I see the pickup count? Not easily. No, I'm not going to sit and look for it properly. Looking for it is not time spent killing for it. Nope. Free up the new dome. Get over here. Up the new dome. Hydrate whilst doing this? Nah, we're on a speed test. I'll have to do that later. Now, we're not going to have a violence, most likely, so it's going to still affect the clarity of our results here. Notice that Misery isn't dying so quickly because we don't have melee influence. We don't have that stonkers electric output from everything nearby. All of the damage was just direct damage, killing them there. Is there a cap for duration? As high as you can mod it. Soft cap of just maximum modding, no hard cap. There are some abilities which are hard capped, but duration in general is not hard capped. Example of a ability hard cap, Cytonine's Evade only stacks up to I think 60 seconds. You can't get more evade than that. There we go. This is looking pretty solid. Nearly at the 5 minutes. Granted, we did spend the first like 30 seconds getting into position, but that's most survivals for you. Oh, and let the domes run out.
Just made their first discovery. Keep up the
Domes up.
When you are ready, go to extraction.
735 and 5, so that's looking at about 140-ish KPM, 150. That's not far off what we had with influence, actually. That is pretty damn close to the influence setup. Influence is king. Influence is pretty damn strong, but if influence is killing too many enemies outside of our Strangledome and not giving us a compensatory significant increase in kill rate, then this would be better if you want to farm with Khora and if you want to get those additional drops. And that is why a lot of people use Khora Strangledome. Get them drops. Pilfering Strangledome. I have noticed that even our resilient targets, these Xmas that pop up, they don't seem to be surviving against this. Like, I've not had individual Xmas units lingering around long enough to become much of a threat. You get individuals like that, and then, yeah, sure enough, they do perish. They don't need to perish first time, but they do die. Necros times 2 is better for you. You know what's great about Khora in a mission like this? I don't need to have 2 Necros up my ass just feeding me more loot. I can do this with a one single player, no multiplayer needed. We just get to run the mission. So, sure, you could have 2 Necros increasing the loot. Or you could not. Oh, let the domes run down, my bad. Re-upped, and in comes the damage. Khora stacks with Necros. True, there is that, yeah. Khora is bonus loot on kill. Necros is bonus loot from corpses. So, it's not one or the other. You can just have both. Very true. Did I let the domes run out again? I did. Oopsies. Where's Angst? That should be Angst dead. Cool. And we are maintaining full power. Okay, Nave. Well, best of luck with your Loki and Ash builds. Kind of out on loot frames anyway. Points to your Warframe career, all the loot you care about, you've got. I mean, fair enough. It's an individual issue, but hey, congratulations. I also have basically every resource I'll ever need, but not everyone's at that point. People still use Khora, they still farm missions, they still go, where are my Oracle cells, DE? And then there's some people that are called Zomtronic, true. Zom, I don't think, is in need of Oracle cells. Zom is in need of nanospores. It's a thing. I can't explain the thing. Neither can Zom. There are explanations, but they're insufficient. It's just an absolute travesty that Zom runs out of nanospores. So yeah, that's a thing. Alright, we are closing in on 10 minutes. I'll take it to 10:30 for comparison's sake. Oops, I've let the domes out again. Let's fix that.
We will all share in this bounty.
There's
Hold
10.
out as long as you can.
224 Oracle cells, don't think you need more. Fair enough. Other resources are available to farm. Khora is not locked to Oracle cells. Alright, we are coming up on 10:30. There we are. Okay, 1491, down from 1700. So we have got a couple hundred less kills, but only a couple hundred less. Only a little bit less. Let's get out of this mission now. And see what the pickup count was as well. There we are. Okay. This isn't the perfectly scientific approach to it. Pickup count is at about 1300 in 10.5 minutes. Whereas previously we were... What was it before? Shoot. I think it was about 1400 before, wasn't it? I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. So, yeah. The kills has gone down by a small amount. It's gone down from about 1700 to 1500. The pickup count has gone down from about 1400 to 1300. If my memory serves correctly there, we have indeed had a drop in returns. So despite melee influence killing a bunch of enemies before they can get to the domes, we end up with more enemies anyway, and enough of them were still entering into the domes, it would seem. Yeah, that Pilfering Strangledome, it's a 65% chance. If sufficient numbers of those enemies on the Influence 1 weren't getting to it, we should see a significant difference in drops per target, but we haven't. I meant to say it might matter more for normal path where there are fewer enemies. The thing with normal path is if someone is farming normal path with fewer enemies, one, they are choosing to farm objectively inferior resource locations, with Khora no less, so we're already into a bit of a weird situation. But on top of that, we're talking about someone who is farming on normal mode, so likely doesn't even have access to these arcanes to make the decision. They may not have Steel Path. You get access to Steel Path before you get access to melee arcanes, so it's not that. Or rather, you can have access to it. You'd need to complete the star chart prior to the new war stuff, and then you can get Steel Path. Whereas to get Melee Arcanes, you then have to do a quest of Whispers in the Walls. And the New War. So yeah, people can access Steel Path before Melee Arcanes if they choose to. Not just farming them, literally the access to Melee Arcanes in Tennokai. Shall we say you should probably do Steel Path first if you're looking for decent builds? Who should, for what builds, how do you figure any of that? What? Your logic is incomprehensible here, sorry. Now, the remaining consideration here is, instead of duplicate, go with exposure. So far, this is using a minimal viral setup. It was just what I kind of threw onto there, giving it a little bit of element. If you don't want to go minimal viral, if you wanted to go for stronger element approach, you could rank these up fully. In fact, I can rank these up fully. Like so. I don't know how much the slash was really being a benefit to us, but if you're going to go exposure, then you wouldn't be worrying about the slash anyway. So, if you can have 120% elemental bonus like that, don't know if you would want to keep Galvanized Elementalist at this point, but let's assume it stays there. You've got 120% elemental bonus. Give you 220% overall damage output. Melee duplicate isn't triggering 100% of the time, but it is still a damage increase. Is it double damage increase? Hold on. What did the crit chance on this come out to again? It was that plus... Yeah, plus 110%. It was 162.5. 162.5. Times crit multiplier of... showing 5 times, but they would actually get another 2.4 from this. So it'd be 7.4. Not certain. Yeah, I'm not certain. Between melee duplicates or melee exposure. I think if you need any specific status weighting, you'll probably land on duplicate. But otherwise, for pure damage, it probably leans towards exposure. Exposure giving you a bunch more dud status. A little bit of armor shrink, but mostly dud. But yeah. However, the influence approach was just a faster killer. It was just faster, including being surprisingly effective against violence, because violence couldn't survive it. And that was even with a slight change in the range, down a meter. I think that about covers what we can get out of Khora in terms of the Whip Claw. There's not a lot of options we can go with. The arcanes really dictate how you build, and most of the arcanes aren't worth building around. I haven't tested Melee Vortex so far. Do I want to? Thinking logically about this. Killing an enemy affected by magnetic status magnetic status effect has a chance to pull in enemies within an 80-meter radius. As much as that can pull in enemies which are outside of Khora's kill box into Khora's kill box, you then still need to apply the magnetic status to enemies in the first place, which means either priming them, companioning them, which has also the effect of slowing down how quickly they get to you, or putting magnetic onto your Whip Claw, which means you're losing out on something else. Could be good for Netra Cells? Could it be good for Netra Cells? You can kill the enemies from anywhere within the circle. They don't need to be in the circle, just you within the circle. How far outside of your range are the enemies that you're attacking that it's worth pulling them in with this? Yeah, because, yeah, influence will just kill the things outside of your range anyway. Why slowly pull them in when you can just dead them? You can just dead them. Should I be saying you should do Magus Anomaly on Operator if just for the pull? Magus Anomaly on Operator. What the hell are you trying to cook? Magus Anomaly? I don't even know. On transparency and enemies within 30 meters pull towards Warframe. Sure. Sure, go for it. Live your best life. I'm going to stick with just having them dead first, because just sheer AoE. Yeah. Apparently I don't have an anomaly, no. This works best for core on the cage. I can see that actually, yeah. If you want to group them into the cage, I can see that. I don't know how that would work with line of sight and line of effect, because I don't have it to test right now. But I can see that. If you really, really need to pull them into the cage, sure, go for it. Fortuna Arcane? Probably. Looking at the text on it, probably. No LOS checks? Well, the enemies need to get to you. So when I say line of effect, how well does it handle odd-looking terrain? Yeah. You can always just use Nautilus instead of Anomaly. There is also Nautilus. I don't know if it has the same range, but yes. But that also locks in what companion you're using, which some people aren't a fan of. In terms of Whipclaw, though, which was my main focus at least, Magus Anomaly doesn't change the considerations that I'm putting here, which is the duplicate works, exposure works, but influence is influence. It turns out that a single target damage bonus doesn't do as well as a multi-target damage bonus. Who knew? Who knew, eh? In terms of the core build, I was using any further alterations. We've got the duration to keep the domes up, and honestly, I don't want to drop that because keeping them up is a nice thing. Efficiency, so we don't have energy woes, because no energy is a dead Khora. Rolling guard, because status X is a dead Khora. Range has applied well. Minimum strength, accumulated Whipclaw doesn't care. Pilfing Strangledome doesn't care. Venari can just cease to exist, quite frankly, and Ensnare doesn't care. Arcane Fury giving us that melee damage. Arcane Energize, again, helping with the energy economy. And Brief Respite because Shield Gate, yeah. Yeah? Yeah, no further notes, really. Venari Slander. Venari running off means enemies try shooting at Venari rather than coming into my kill box. Not a positive. Not a positive. Archon Stretch with Influence could replace Energize. Archon Stretch could replace Energize. The 2 energy per second you think can replace Arcane Energize? Granted, the efficiency on this is pretty nice, but... Energy drops on your efficiency? Okay, so let's see here. We got the domes at 40 energy, 31.6 seconds. Assuming some inefficiencies on casting, you cast them a little bit too soon. You're looking at about 80 energy every 30 seconds, so that's about 2 to 2.5 energy per second there. And then Whipclaw as you spam it out. So I don't think this gives any bonus. No, it does not. So Whipclaw as you spam it out, probably spending about at least 5 energy per second there. So yeah, you can go for Archon Stretch, but I don't know you would make up enough efficiency. Don't know that you would. But if you do make up enough efficiency, at least you're satisfied with it, then sure, why not? Take off Energize and slot in something else. It would probably end up being Molt Augmented. No, it wouldn't. No. Not in this case. Aegis if you need the extra tank, but that's kind of circular because I didn't need the tank. Likewise, Melee Reaper, you don't need that. Steadfast? Replacing Energized with Steadfast is just kind of doing the same job but differently. On hit melee damage, Fury. This one right here. Already in there. No, I'm not sure on that one. Also, Steadfast kills shield gating. Very true, yes. Shield gating being turned off on Khora for a few casts, that could spell disaster. Yeah. I'm not sure which direction one would otherwise go, I'll be quite honest with you. Aside from throwing in Molt Augmented for the extra 60% strength, because lol, feck it, why not? I'm a little bit stuck on that one. How does Steadfast kill shield gating? Shield gating is, hey, did you spend energy? Here's shields. And Steadfast says, hey, did you want to spend energy? Don't. You can't gain shields if you don't spend the energy. Fury, already equipped. Maybe Arcane for movement as a QOL. I mean, you can. Just call it straight up flex, do whatever you want, but yeah. Are there specific frames someone would use if they want to do crits more? I mean, that's a bit of an odd question. It's a bit broad, but if you want crits, like all of the crits forever and ever and ever, grab your melee weapon and equip Kalervo. But yeah. That's fine, Dover. That's fine. Also Harrow, yes. Kalervo and Harrow. There you are, that's your crit ones. Yeah, Ductile, you're right. If I had Molt Augmented instead of Energize, it would mean the strength would be up again to use, at least somewhat use, a Subsume as well. You're very right. Any reason you don't have Rolling Guard and Narrow-Minded upgraded? Rolling Guard, because the previous limitations to the build, Rolling Guard should be fully upgraded at this point, so sure, fuck it, why not? The only issue might be starting energy, but 10 energy won't do the difference. Narrow-Minded is intentional. Because we don't need lots of duration, we only want a small hit to the range. So mid-rank Narrow-Minded, it gives you that kind of middle ground approach where it can be pretty much offset with a stretch, while still giving you that duration bonus. So yeah, that's an intentional one. We don't need more duration, and losing the strength, losing range will be a problem. But if we didn't have it in there, then we'd be into negative duration territory. And it just nicely fits onto that depolarity, but I suppose that works too. So yeah, the next best duration mod for that scale is Prime Continuity, which is also already on here, and those are counteracting the effect of Fleeting Expertise, as well as still giving us a bigger buff to keep Strangle Dome going. If you're happy to cast Strangle Dome more, then sod it. You know, chuck this in the bin. But that does mean a lot more casting of Strangle Dome, and by increasing the casting of that, one, it's just time you're not spending attacking, and two, that's going to increase your energy consumption. Neither of which seems like the smartest idea to me. But yeah, it is an option. You could also go with something like Constitution for only 28% duration rather than 63. You still remain positive, and then you gain back some more of that range. And that is a completely valid choice as well. That is pretty much a dealer's choice on that one. For the comfort of not having to cast this quite so often, it's 24.6 like that, up to 31.6. So that extra 7 seconds, I'm now casting this twice, sorry, 4 times per minute rather than more. You hope they'll make a Prime Streamline? I'm not sure they'll ever make a Prime Streamline, to be honest, because that would kill most of the point of fleeting expertise. Yeah. Elements are saying message saves mod capacity over the Constitution for 4% less. Is mod capacity the concern here, Elementers? Is mod capacity really the concern, if we're honest about it? And sure, it also throws in the shield gate, but then we got brief respite already, so it's also not significant enough to matter. Yeah. No, I think that does the trick. I think that does the trick. Alright then. Well, that's Gara revisited, that's Khora revisited. I think it's about time that we do a platinum giveaway. If you've not already grabbed yourself a ticket for that, exclamation mark ticket in the chat. I think an advert just started for some people. That is really unfortunate timing. But I hope you'll figure it out from the chat. For anyone who's subscribed, no advert. Or if you happen to live in a region where there's no adverts, then also lucky you. And apparently Ellie needs to do a refresh of their stream because the bot is ignoring them. Now, Titanium X please, it's really broken. I've been looking at these pseudo-exalteds first rather than the exalteds, but yeah. I'll get my way around to them eventually. There's so many different bits to cover. Bit by bit. I'll get around to it. Yeah. How did the Atlas video do in the end, anyway? If I recall, it wasn't doing amazingly. By my own measurements, anyway. Let's see. 17k. Alright. Def's gotta say thank you for your extensive testing, Ken. My pleasure. My absolute pleasure. Except when the game tries to wreck my brain, but mostly my pleasure. Alright, I think that's enough time for everyone to grab tickets. Let's close up the giveaway. Tickets are now closed. If you didn't grab one, you clearly didn't want one. And so, out of those of you who've entered today, only one of you can be the winner. The 75 Platinum today is going to go on over to Jojer. Jojer. Congratulations, you are the winner today of the Plat giveaway. I'll be contacting you here on Twitch shortly after the end of the stream. Get hold of your Warframe username, platform, and if you have cross-save turned on or not. We'll get that sent on over to you, absolutely. There's a parting message from Dark Wolf saying, Excalibur right now is just godly with damage with either Afflictions or Influence, obviously Influence, but Afflictions is quite funny with the new heavy attacks for Exalted Blade. Fair enough. Fair enough. I do imagine a lot of Exalteds are just performing significantly better given they've been able to use the rest of the melee arsenal. They've been held back for a while. It's about time they got to shine. Absolutely. Anyway, for now, let's have a look. I think it's time, well, I don't think, I know it's time that we need to raid on out of here. I know, we have come to that unfortunate point in the stream where it wraps up. Let's see, who can we raid on into today? And whilst I'm loading up the options and where we can raid, just want to say thank you to everyone who has joined in on the stream today. I hope you have enjoyed yourself. Certainly everyone who has supported the stream as well. With your subs, your bits, all of that together, it really does help. Okay, let's see. So, who is live? We've got a GSXR Clyde. Not sure how I'm supposed to pronounce that. I think we popped into them the other day. Yeah, we popped into them the other day, I think so. We've got Liam, we've got a Body, Gaz, Neo, Raging Terror as... Not sure what's going on with that thumbnail. That does not look like Warframe. Where to go today? Any Baby Tenno? I don't feel like raiding into a Baby Tenno today, I'll be honest. I don't feel like raiding into a baby Tenno today. You're very welcome, Moon. Have a good one. Yeah, let's raid... Let's raid into Liam today. And that's up. Yep, there we are. It's got the right icon. We're going the right way. Alright, that's all from me today. I'm going to go rest. I definitely need some. I will catch you in the next one on Wednesday. Talk to you then. Bye.